tells me. I know that sounds weird, but it's the way, because we're going to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. All right. So yeah, more fruits and all fruits for you, because you said you eat 4 fruits a day. So that's why
At
I wore your
least,
4
at
fruits.
least,
At
minimum.
least. I know, that's why I wore it for you. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. I'm so excited to introduce you to today's guest who I'm meeting for the first time. As often happens with this show, these wonderful guests comes from referral from other previous guests, and today's guest was interviewed by Dr. Marcia Gale Davis, who was a wonderful person that I interviewed recently, if you'd like to check out that interview. He is not only board certified in pediatrics, but also in the newest specialty in medicine that I'm so excited to hear more about, lifestyle medicine. He practices in Washington, D.C., and his name is Dr. David Bowman. It's so nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you. After getting the referral from Dr. Davis, I've watched a number of your episodes. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to meet her. So it's great.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. And speaking of episodes, you have a YouTube channel. Right now, there was only 4 episodes, and I watched all of them twice, and I was very impressed with the content.
Thank you.
Took some notes on that. But what I'm most excited to hear about is you're a newlywed. This is the first newlywed I've had on the show.
Yeah, we got married 2 weeks ago. And our little love story, we started, I met her in college, but then we reconnected during the pandemic. And because of the pandemic, after I gave one of my YouTube videos on COVID-19, African-Americans, and lifestyle changes for people who have chronic diseases, she said, hey, I'd like to interview you on my Instagram live on Raw Vegan Sisters. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And we had a great interview. We connected after that, and we reconnected. And the rest is destiny or history. So we did a wedding not too long ago. I proposed in December and got married. Very, very small wedding, but it's very quaint, very intimate. And Keisha, I know you're probably out there listening. So thank you for blessing my life like this.
Well, that's just so wonderful. And you tell me about the cake. You said that you had, I believe it was a raw vegan cake.
Yeah. So all the dinner, the little after party dinner, all of it was plant-based. The cake was also vegan as well. My wife has made a cake before. I think it was vegan. I know it's vegan. I don't know if it's raw or not, but definitely everything there was vegan. And people were like, oh, I don't want to eat that stuff. Oh, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. It was catered. I can't take the credit for it, but it was catered. But it was great.
That is fantastic. So does your wife join you in your plant-based eating?
Oh, absolutely. That was part of how we got together. Her name is Raw Vegan Sisters on Instagram. And so we both joined in with the plant-based lifestyle, and it makes things a whole lot easier when we are on one accord. Even with my daughter, there was something that I needed to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, I might need to have her eat meat again. And it was like, she said, no, we don't. No, we don't. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to add these foods and have her cook with us. And I'm like, so it really helped me to kind of keep that focus on our daughter to be plant-based while she's with us, at least.
Well, that's fantastic. And I think I have a future guest on the show in your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love you to have her.
I can't wait. Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I was watching your story on YouTube, it was sort of like a photo with your daughter where you kind of realized, hey, I'm a lot heavier than I remember being. And that kind of was your impetus to adopting a healthier diet.
That's exactly what happened. So when I saw that picture, the picture was gorgeous from the chest up. It was an amazing picture. And it's going to be in my presentation that I'm going to do as well. When I saw that picture, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm now getting obese or getting that big belly that runs in my family. And I was like, I got to make a change. I got to make a change, both because I'm a little older of a parent. I'm not the young spring chicken or spring chickpea, I guess. I'm not that young. And so I got to get in better shape. And part of that's going to be diet and part of it's going to be exercise. And so definitely made sure the diet part was on point and lost a lot of weight by going vegan.
Spring chickpea. I love that because we we use too many sayings that are detrimental to animals, like kill two birds with one stone. We've got to change
Oh
all
my
that.
gosh. Yeah, I do use that one. Ugh.
Yeah. But I love this, a spring chickpea. It's like when people say, when people say it's a piece of cake, I go, no, it's a piece of kale.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good.
That
I use that
that
one
is
too.
great. Well, what I found really interesting in one of your videos is you said you used to just like in college, even though you were running track, you were living on white bread and white milk.
Yeah, it was a big difference. What I used to do, my college roommate and I, we would go to the grocery store every week, and every week we would get 5 loaves of white bread and 2 gallons of milk between the two of us. And it was no surprise that I was constipated. I mean, no surprise in hindsight. At the time, I thought I just am constipated. That's just who I am. But no, in reality, that's not who I am. That's who my lifestyle um, made me to be. So I am fearfully and wonderfully made, but my lifestyle promoted constipation. So yeah, I mean, it was white bread, white sugar, white flour, white everything. And over time, it just has been a great transition. When I did a Daniel fast, which changed everything. I recognized, my gosh, this has been amazing. Doing the whole food plant-based uh, fast. It was a spiritual fast because I needed the spiritual help in order to be able to make the lifestyle changes.
A lot of doctors that I've interviewed, their first point of entry, maybe they saw Forks Over Knives or the China study. Where did you get most of your information on a healthy plant-based diet from?
There's one thing that the last heart attack, I think Sanjay Gupta had done that one. I saw that. It was like, oh wow, I never thought about that. And then I saw Forks Over Knives. But the big thing that was for me was reading How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. That book really showed me I mean, I was mind blown. Like, I never learned this stuff in medical school. Like, this is like, wait a minute, hold on. So diabetes is not really just a sugar problem. It's a insulin resistance problem. It's a fat problem. That's not what we're taught. And how can there be fat people, people who aren't obese and be type 2 diabetic? Oh, it's the saturated fat in their diet. Oh, nobody told me this stuff. So that was just amazing to kind of see that stuff from the book, the How Not to Die, the what's called What the Health videos. Those just got me motivated. That like, wow, I never really paid attention to what I ate. In general, I ate a lot of fruit. I ate a lot of vegetables. But I mean, I had a lot of white breads, a lot of pizza, a lot of cheese, a lot of fried foods. I did a lot of that stuff, and I never paid attention to how. I mean, I had a boatload of medications. I mean, just you name it in terms of GI stuff. I had almost all those medications that I was using on a regular basis, and now I don't have to use any of those medications.
That is fantastic. So you're a pediatrician, so you see patients as well, I guess you can't be 0, but 1 day old to, I think you said 21. And how is having lifestyle medicine as another specialty influencing the way you treat your patients?
Perfect, perfect. So one thing is when kids start eating at 6 months of life, other foods at 6 months of life, or they stop breastfeeding or what have you. I try to counsel the patients about, hey, listen, before you start these other foods, let's look at what foods we should introduce so we can start it from scratch. This patient is a blank slate. The child's a blank slate. Let's figure out what can we do for this child to start them off on the right foot. Let's get them to have their taste buds used to whole foods, used to plants, used to vegetables and fruits and beans, as opposed to starting them on a lot of the processed foods and then having to change them later. So that's one way I do it. Another way that I do it is somebody comes in, they have, say constipation. Instead of just giving them a laxative, a stool softener, an enema, and things of that nature, I'll say, well, let's look at the diet. Let's see what is constipating about the diet and figure out if there is something that we can change and fix. And usually it's going to be, oh my gosh, my child drinks 4 cups of cow's milk a day. They just love milk, and milk is good for them. So let me give them a whole lot of milk, and then they're constipated. If they have acne, if they have asthma or allergies, a lot of them, you can go back to their diet as well. So it's if you think about it, any disease that has a steroid or an NSAID like ibuprofen, any type of disease that has inflammation involved, an anti-inflammatory diet may be able to help. And so I kind of guide people that way. I also talk to the families because it's really not just about the kid, because it's not the kid doesn't make the decision about what is purchased in the house. They may, cry or fall out in the grocery store, about I want my, sugary cereals, but they don't make that decision. The parent makes a decision or the grandparent makes a decision. And it's important for them to recognize that it's not. In fact, recently I saw a patient and I said, let me take this burden of, the kid was teenager, 315 pounds. Let me take this burden of this weight off of you because it wasn't you. If you don't make the decisions as to what to bring in the house and you don't cook, it's not you. It's the parent, or in this case, it's the grandparent. So it's like I want to make sure that we're trying to get these people on the right start, because treating acne, if we treat acne with whole plant foods and eliminate some of the processed foods, the inflammatory foods, things of that nature, if we eliminate that, that's not just going to help their acne, it's going to help their risk of heart disease in the future. It's going to help reduce their risk of diabetes in the future. And I try to empower my patients to understand that.
That is great. So many people that I know, they want to have a plant-based family and a plant-based pregnancy, and their pediatrician is like, no, you have to feed the kid milk. And that's, how can we get them to understand that's really not true? I was allergic to milk and I was still being forced to drink milk because my mom couldn't breastfeed.
That's a challenge. There's a lot of good marketing out there by the dairy industry to really market a lot of dairy products, and they got to have meat. I tell people, like, that cow that you're going to for their food, whether it be for their dairy or for their meat, that cow did not eat chicken to get its protein. That chicken did not eat fish to get its protein. So we can actually cut out that middle bird or middle moo and say we can get the protein that we need from plants. And so I promote soy milk a lot for my patients who either are starting from scratch and like, hey, my child's about 1 year old. What should I switch to? Why don't you go straight to soy milk? What about cow's milk? And so we have a discussion about cow's milk and the inflammatory parts of the cow's milk and the mucus and things of that nature. And they're like, okay, well, I'll try soy milk. I mean, we got the iron deficiency anemia, we got constipation, and other things that happen from cow's milk. So a lot of times I shift a lot of my patients to soy. Either they have the problems or they're interested and open-minded.
Are you seeing an increase in childhood obesity?
There is a big problem of childhood obesity. And so right now, a lot of my patients are younger, because I'm still younger in my practice, but I am getting referred from within my practice for people who are overweight and obese. And it's just, the pandemic has really been bad for a lot of people. They'll say, oh my gosh, my child, gained, these 50 pounds because they were less active. I was like, well, I'll give you 8 pounds, maybe 10 pounds, but 50 pounds, that wasn't the pandemic. That wasn't the inactivity. That was, oh my gosh, my child is eating, a bowl of cereal that's this big. Or, they're bringing in and they're eating a lot of donuts. They wouldn't have the donuts if they went to school. So that's a big part of the reason why they're having this problem. It's not just that they're, it is hard. I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of global health work, and it was hard to find candy and sweets when I worked in, different countries in Africa or in Haiti. It was hard to find it, but here you can't avoid it. This is right there in your face. So it's hard. It's a culture to promote tasty, quick foods that are high calorie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you do this, but I remember when I was little, when you got a shot, you got a lollipop.
Yes, we have, our practice does have sugar-free lollipops. I don't know that they're healthy, but less unhealthy than the sugar lollipops. So yeah, yeah, or go to the dentist. You'll see some lollipops at the dentist office. It's like, yeah, I want some repeat business.
Absolutely. I mean, but depending on how young the kid is, kids like stickers, kids like toys.
Yeah, I did stickers recently. I had a lot of leftover stickers from my daughter, and I was like, I should bring this to work. And so I started doing stickers for some of the kids as well. Stickers, they like
That's
stickers.
great.
They want to have
I
something.
know. I know you're going to show us some slides. You have a PowerPoint. I don't want to ruin it if this is addressed, but I like something that you said in one of your videos about the 5 S's, and they're not sugar, soda, sweets, salt, and saturated fat. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So the 5 things that I think that people really need to focus on, 5 S's, are salts, added sugars, saturated fat, a sedentary lifestyle, and stress. And those to me are the underlying problems for almost all of our health issues. And so if we were to say, I have heart disease, and this pill that we're going to give is not going to affect the heart disease directly. It might affect the manifestation. It might delay your heart failure by a couple of years, but it never addresses the actual cause. And one thing I like about, lifestyle medicine is that we focus on what are the underlying lifestyle problems that are the cause of these issues. And let's address that as opposed to addressing just the effects of the issue. Like, if you're hypertensive, me give you high blood pressure medication, you're on it for life. There's nothing that's going to get you better on its own, but with the medication. Now, I guess in medicine, we kind of think from a acute standpoint. So somebody comes in, they have an ear infection or a sinus infection or pneumonia, I can give you antibiotics, and 10 days later, you're healthy. You're back to your baseline health. But chronic diseases aren't the same way. Chronic diseases, we actually are going to be on those same medications for life, especially if we've never treated the underlying core problem.
That's why I think it's when people say, well, do you have a referral? And I'm like, well, it's not just about being a plant-based doctor that he or she themselves eat vegan, but being board certified in lifestyle medicine. It's a game changer. I found a lifestyle medicine doctor for myself last year. And at the
Awesome.
age of 61, yeah, it's the first time a doctor actually said to me, what do you eat? How much do you exercise? How much do you sleep? What's your stress like? How are your close relationships? 60 years, no one ever asked me those 5 questions until I got a lifestyle medicine doctor.
I love it. I mean, it's really changed the way I practice medicine. It changed the way I live my life. It has really been powerful. I'm a big proponent of lifestyle medicine, both pediatric, adult, adolescent, pregnancy. It doesn't matter.
Wow. So you said something very profound. The power of life and death is in your tongue.
Yes. So there's a scripture that says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. And usually we think about that from the standpoint of what we say. So if I say that, I'm a failure, or if I say that, I put people down or what have you, I'm essentially causing them emotionally to die, or myself. If I say, I can't give this up, I can't give this up, I am telling myself, and there's a power in what I just said. However, the scripture doesn't say that it's specifically about what we say. It just says the tongue. And so if you think about the tongue drives a lot of what we eat. And so there's power of life, power of death, health, healing, illness, death in the tongue's choice in what we eat. So the tongue probably drives maybe 70, 80% of what we eat, if not 90% of what we eat. And that tongue is going to lead us to, like, I just want to have this taste of this. It's just, I got to have it. And I get it. I mean, it's not like my taste buds went away. However, that choice that my tongue is making may drive me closer to death and disease, or disease and death, as opposed to health and life. And so the tongue is really powerful in that. And so to me, I mean, the tongue is really it's like 1% of our body, but it drives so much of our, to be honest, if you think about it, If our blood vessels and our gut microbiome and our heart and our brains would have the same sensation as our tongue, they'd be saying when we get the fried chicken or the pizza, like, no, no, please stop. I don't want this. Ah. But the tongue dried. The drum's like, oh my gosh, fried chicken, the pizza, this is amazing candy. I love it. But our blood vessels are like, no, not again. No, stop, stop, stop. I want to heal. You're not giving me any time to heal. And so the tongue drives that power towards either life or death.
Yeah. It's interesting. All the people I know that have had COVID, one of their biggest complaints was that they couldn't taste or smell. And some of them, they're having a hard time getting it back.
It's unfortunate. It's too unfortunate.
Oops, your sound just dropped.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Great.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Nice.
Sit up tight. Sit up close and get close to the camera.
Well, if you'd like, if you'd like to share your slides, we'd love to hear your presentation.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. All righty. I'm going to talk today about revolutionizing family health, from family history to family destiny. All right. So in revolutionizing family health, back in the summer of 2020, there was a social justice uprising, almost like a revolution. And it's time to have a revolution in health as well. So for instance, for too long, Blacks have gotten the short end of the stick when it came down to health. We have worse outcomes by race and ethnicity for almost every health condition outside of maybe skin cancer and bone fractures or hip fractures. So it seems like it's almost inevitable, like it must be in our genes, since so many of our family members have the problem. We can't escape it. The same goes for other families, regardless of race and ethnicity as well. There might be early heart disease in other people, or stroke or Alzheimer's in those families. However, the choices that we make, what we eat, how much, when we eat it, how much we exercise, how we choose to relieve stress, all those may override our genes in many cases. So the real problem is less that these health problems run in the family, and more that no one is actually running in the family. No one's exercising, no one's eating right. That's more of the problem. We inherit our lifestyles like we inherit our DNA. So if you grow up eating fast food or takeout, you're likely going to continue to seek takeout food. Like for instance, my family, my mom cooked all the time. So what do? I cook at home. And speaking of that, it's like your dinner is way more important than your DNA in many cases in terms of your health. Like, so if we keep doing the same things that our parents did and hoping for a different response, that essentially is insanity. If I keep saying, I keep putting in this flour and the eggs and the milk and the oil, and I keep putting this in the baking powder in. I'm wanting a kale salad, but somehow I just keep getting pancakes. So you have to actually do something different than what your parents did if you want a different health outcome. So when you think about the life cycle, we usually think about starting from baby up to toddler, child, adolescent, and adult, and then into elderly. But if you really want to revolutionize family health, it's best to start at the beginning. So at preconception. So a pregnant woman who's carrying a daughter, for instance, all the eggs in the infant daughter's ovaries are preformed before birth. So a mother's health status during pregnancy can potentially affect the health risk of her grandchildren as well. That can create a vicious cycle where health problems can be passed down. So therefore, it's imperative for us to impact generational health by starting as soon as possible with healthy lifestyles, not infancy, but really preconceptually and definitely during pregnancy. So pregnancy health, the health of a woman during pregnancy is essential to reduce the chances of health complications in her and in the baby, whether it be gestational diabetes or preeclampsia. For gestational diabetes, there's short-term and long-term problems for the baby and the fetus. And there's a nurse's health study too that showed a strong association between the Western diet and gestational diabetes. So red meat, processed meat, refined grains, sweets, French fries, pizza, that's the Western diet. Women with gestational diabetes have 7 times the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. For preeclampsia, it can cause preterm birth, which can increase infant mortality, and it also increases maternal mortality risk. Similar to gestational diabetes, lifestyle and diet play a role, so that diets high in plant foods tend to decrease chronic inflammation and oxidative stress and will reduce the risk of preeclampsia. Other notable findings about maternal health, that the higher the meat intake for mom, the higher the stress responses in children later on in life. Mothers eat more meat and fewer vegetables during pregnancy, gave birth to children who grew up to have higher blood pressures. It's almost like you're adjusting the child's health thermostat. You can adjust the child's health for the positive or for the negative. And that effect is both in the womb as well as later on in life. And so for infant health, breastfeeding is critical to doing several things. You can reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. You can boost the health of the child by reducing infections and reducing the risk of obesity later in life, and can help to boost IQ of the children. Of course, if you have fewer infections, better IQ, better obesity, it's going to be helpful to impact that next generation. As it relates to child health, so much of a child's health outcome is based on their lifestyle. So ideally, you would not start allowing a child to eat junk food when they're 1 year old, because you want to train their eating habits. I did have a patient, however, that had a 4-month-old child that was being followed by the aunts. The 4-month-old child was eating oatmeal cream pie cookies. I was livid about that. The children, their brains and their bodies are developing. They are in need of healthy nutrients, yet many children don't eat a single vegetable unless you consider French fries to be a real vegetable. However, many parents are afraid of their children's response, whether it be in public, at the grocery store, or at home. And so they kind of just give in, say, okay, fine, I should give the kid what they need or what they want. Really, we should be trying to train up a child in the way that they should go. We can reduce asthma, eczema, constipation, ADHD, and obesity by diet and lifestyle. So let's really try to do that. So in terms of child health, changing up a child's diet later on can be pretty hard, but it certainly can be done. So when you have your typical snack foods, instead of having them daily, just call it party food, or have it monthly, or have it on special occasions, or what have you. It's important to try and create a healthy environment to the point where the only foods that are available are healthy snacks, for instance. And it's important also to try to be your parents, to be a parent and not try to be your child's friend. There's a analogy in Dr. Greger's book called How Not to Diet by Dr. David Katz. And what he said was, imagine that you're going to send your child to school. Actually, you're recommending your child go to school. You're not requiring they go to school, but just saying, I recommend you go to school. But they go to the bus stop, and there are 4 buses out there. One's going to school, one's going to the circus, one's going to the zoo, and one's going to the beach. And you're asking your child to make that choice. My daughter is smart. She is amazing. She is not going to go to school. She's going to go to the beach. That's what happens when we have other foods that are really tasty and tempting, however, aren't going to be healthy. Since neither infants, toddlers, school-age children, nor adolescents buy the majority of their food, setting the environment at home that promotes healthy eating is going to be critical. So if you don't even bring the chips in the house, then they can't have chips. I had a 12-year-old patient whose mom was really mad that he was eating certain things. Let's say it was chips or donuts or something. And so I walked up to the child and I said, so, do you buy the food? And he said, no. I said, do you steal the food? And he said, no. I said, where do you get this contraband from that your mom doesn't want you to eat? Where do you get it from? He said, my mom buys it. No, can't be. Your mom can't buy the food that she says that she didn't want you to eat, because if she didn't want you to eat it, she shouldn't buy. Mom wants it for herself. You're eating her supply. I get it now. Okay. Another pair of siblings with hyperactivity and bad behavior. This mother herself was obese, and the grandmother was on 22 medications at the age of 54. So I suggested some dietary changes. And so, we ended up talking together, not eating out, reducing processed food, being mindful of what they ate. That helped with the kids' behavior. All of a sudden, she said the kids are doing much better in terms of the behavior. They're not acting out like the same way they did before. They're doing much better. Mom lost 15 pounds, and mom is starting to change her health destiny. And if the grandmother bought in, the grandmother can help as well, or benefit as well. Adolescence. Now, adolescence can be hard. It is a time of increasing independence and can be a challenge as a result of peer pressure. So if they are the only ones eating healthy in their friend group, there's a lot of pressure to fall back towards the norm. So we need to find other motivating factors for adolescents. Maybe it's going to be acne or appearance. Maybe it's going to be ethical treatment of animals, where they say, I don't want to kill animals. I don't want to, that's not good for the environment. It's not good for the greenhouse gases to eat all this meat. Or athletic performance enhancement. So if you are eating beets and arugula and other dark green leafy vegetables, you can actually get more energy out of every oxygen molecule. That's a performance enhancing diet. So that could be a way to motivate adolescents to change their lifestyle. So, and of course, child and adolescent obesity increases the risk of adult obesity, which leads to many other health conditions. Now, for young adults, they start to make their own health choices, but now, and just like the adolescents, they're susceptible to the outside influences, and those same motivating factors might be there for them too. But now they're likely buying their own food, and so they often want something quick and something cheap. I had to copy this quote. I love it. It says, maybe we should stop asking why real food is so expensive and start asking why processed food is so cheap. If you think about it, if real meat costs this amount of money, then how can this be on the dollar menu? Because they have so many additives that are cheap, likely also not healthy. That might be the reason why it could be on the dollar menu. So with adult health, it really all starts with adults. Their impact can affect the generations above them and the generations below them. It's really important for them to have the knowledge of the power of food as medicine. Adults can influence their children and their own parents. Most adults, however, have the mentality that most health conditions are just inevitable. So one of the things that I mentioned, or I discovered, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, but our lifestyle promotes certain health problems. And so in terms of our family history does not have to be our health destiny. So when I take a family history, I'll ask, so what kind of conditions run the family? Oh, high blood pressure, diabetes, breast cancer, blah, 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 blah. That does not have to be your health destiny. However, most of the issue is going to be getting started. It's like, if you have a rocket that's trying to take off into space, most of the effort goes into trying to get that rocket off the ground. So getting started might be where the most challenges are. But once you've got started, once you see the benefits, maintaining the change is not quite as hard. So case study, it's a 43-year-old man. He was slim most of his life, gained weight in his late 30s and 40s. He's now overweight. He had a past medical history of asthma, and then he had surgery at the age of 35 due to complications of severe constipation. What runs in the family is central obesity, so large stomachs in all the men, high cholesterol, prediabetes, hypertension, I think also breast cancer. He's fairly healthy, gets plenty of fruits and veggies, snacks a lot on candy, eats a lot of fried foods and breads, doesn't eat beef or pork, and then does not exercise. His bad cholesterol was high, the LDL, but he'd been eating lasagna all week before the test, so maybe that's not what his baseline is usually. He did what's called a Daniel fast. The Daniel fast is basically, it's a spiritual fast. It includes prayer for 3 weeks. There's no animal products, no added sweets, and no processed foods. There's no limit on the amount of food or the timing of food. So he adhered to the fast, but it was very difficult. Got bored eating the same foods over and over again, and really needed to rely on spiritual help, spiritual strength to deal with the lifestyle change of the fast. However, he lost 11 pounds in 3 weeks, wasn't hungry, started incorporate healthy eating more, doing meatless Mondays or being vegan Monday through Thursday. Started doing vegan cookbooks, downloaded new recipes, etc. Probably needed to watch Chef AJ's awesome recipes and cooking. 6 months later, started to continue to lose weight, cholesterol now much better. However, a couple of years later, the cholesterol came back up again, unclear what might be the cause, was darn near vegan. So like, how could I have high cholesterol and vegan? And I lost more weight, but identified that microwave popcorn and coconut milk both had lots of saturated fat in it. Removed those and the cholesterol got much better, has sustained his weight loss, blood pressure is good, lost 5 inches on his pants waist size, constipation gone, improved energy and mood. What's he doing now? That is him. That is me. And so those are the situations that I was up against. And so that's the picture that we talked about earlier with me with the large gut and the larger waist size and saying, oh my gosh, my child is, I got a daughter. I gotta have to chase these boys away, right? So I got to be in better shape to be able to chase these boys away. So I had to be transformed by the renewing of my mind as to what health was for me. Ultimately, I had to ask myself, what is the predictable and almost certain future of my health if I make no changes to what I'm doing? And if that's the case, I'm going to go from overweight to being obese. I'm going to have high blood pressure, prediabetes, high cholesterol, continued constipation, fatigue, etc. Am I okay with that response? Heck no. That's not what I want. So there's really nothing wrong with my fried chicken, my pizza, my candy. There's nothing wrong with it. It just leads to an outcome. And it was an outcome that I didn't like. So I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, but my lifestyle promoted constipation. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, but my lifestyle promoted high cholesterol. I wasn't giving my body the nutrients that it needs to get healthy and stay healthy. So I asked myself also, what health future do I want? And what steps do I need to take to get there? And for me, I needed to have spiritual strength. There's no way I could do that in my flesh. So let's take a look. So when we talk about what factors affect health, everybody thinks about genetics, but there are other lifestyle factors as well. So stress, nutritional choices, your activity, obesity, smoking, alcohol, drugs, social connections, our environment, finances, all those impact health. And so if you end up having high blood pressure, those things may be part of the cause. It's not just, it just popped out of the thin air. It's usually because of the lifestyle factors. And maybe that you're genetically predisposed to getting it as well. However, never fear, because medications can shrink the effect of the high blood pressure. However, they don't address the actual causes. So if these factors are not addressed, now you have high cholesterol in addition to the high blood pressure. But again, never fear. We got some medications for that too, right? But then what happens is you end up being on more and more medications over time because you have more and more problems. And so now you have diabetes, now you have heart disease, and now you have COVID. And all these things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger because we haven't addressed those actual causes, the lifestyle factors. However, with significant lifestyle changes, you can start to treat, if not reverse, those conditions all at the same time. And so they have all this, and now they just kind of just disappear. And then, in addition to that benefit, you can start to reap the other benefits of living healthier. You have more energy, more strength, clearer thinking, weight loss, reduced risk of cancer, reduced risk of severe COVID, reduced risk of erectile dysfunction. Brothers, you hear me? Reduced risk of erectile dysfunction. You may change your family health destiny once you sustain that change and others start to see that change as well. So impact on self, on me, in addition to the sustained weight loss, my constipation was gone, my reflux was gone, my stomach pain wasn't there. I mean, I frequently had pain in my stomach. I don't have any medications I'm using for it now. My cholesterol got better without medications. My dad, I can't take full credit for this. Some of this started before I had made my changes as well, but because of his lifestyle changes, he's lost over 60 pounds. He's been able to wean down on his medications and retain some potency. Okay, that's the family history I like. My sister lost so much weight that I didn't recognize her in a photo. My two of my nieces went plant-based as well. So for me and my child, this is a picture of me and my child. We were eating. I saw a picture. Actually, my wife saw a picture, something similar to this, and so we recreated it for our own family. Her snacks are almost always fruits and veggies. We had a discussion about antioxidants and how important antioxidants are. This is back when she was 4, to show how important these things were. Her drinks are usually water, almond milk, or maybe smoothies with no added sugar. When she's with me, about 90% of her meals are vegan, or at least vegetarian. Unhealthy food just doesn't make it into the house. I just don't want her to have to struggle to change her diet once she develops, or if she develops health problems. What helps a lot for us is that when we cook together, she actually likes eating a lot of foods that we cook together. And don't forget the seniors. It is not too late for them to change. So we did a Daniel fast as a family when my mom got her heart failure, and we did it as a family. My mom didn't stay on it for too long because she wanted to have her sausage. My dad stuck on the fast though. And within 3 weeks, he had been having high blood pressure for decades. Within 3 weeks, his blood pressure medications went down, down, and then off in 3 weeks. He didn't sustain all those changes, so he had to go back on medications. But that was just impressive that, hey, Dad, can you see that sometimes high blood pressure is a choice? High cholesterol might be a choice, that we're not choosing to stick to a more significant regimen. And of course, the seniors, Alzheimer's risk. We don't want to get our Alzheimer's in our family. And so there are a lot of associations between the standard American diet, especially high saturated fat, and Alzheimer's risk. So therefore, low saturated fat and high fruit or vegetable intake would be helpful in Alzheimer's. Now, it's not easy to make family health changes. It is not easy. But one thing you can consider doing is consider your home a sanctuary, and just don't bring unhealthy food in. Like, don't have the challenge. Don't try to fight that battle in your home. Fight that battle when you're at the grocery store. But I know when COVID first happened, I said, let me get some candy, just enough candy to last me the entire 2 months or 3 months of the pandemic. That food was gone in a week and a half, that candy, because it was just in there. It was in the house. I got to eat it. Food has actually overtaken cigarette smoking as the largest contributor to disease. So, just like you wouldn't give your 8-year-old child, your 8-year-old niece or grandchild a cigarette, but you will bring in food that consistently bring in food that may be more detrimental to their overall health than a cigarette would be. Now, keep in mind, your family may not buy in initially to changes. Mine, it was a little bit of struggle, but they eventually bought in. Those who chose to buy in bought in. Now, they may criticize, they may be cynical. You just got to be creative sometimes with the changes. And then maybe you just got to do it yourself, and they start to see the changes in you, and they say, wow, that can happen for me too. Let's do this. So possible effects of a family lifestyle change, like the same lifestyle changes, like of increasing whole plant foods, decreasing processed foods, meats, refined grains, and sugars, that could benefit the whole family in different ways. So a toddler, not only are you training their taste buds to prefer whole plant foods, it might reduce their constipation. For a child, it may prevent obesity. It may treat their eczema and their asthma. It may help with their ADHD. For an adolescent, it may reduce their acne and improve their sports performance. For the adult, it might reverse their high blood pressure. It may improve their diabetes. It might treat their erectile dysfunction. It may help prevent cancer of the breast or prostate or colon. If for the seniors, it made that change. It might reduce the risk of Alzheimer's, retain their mobility, and help with their arthritis. Now, of course, there's challenges to that, right? It's not the easiest thing to do. One challenge is the impact of systemic racism on options for healthy food, options and access to providers. That's a challenge we got to consider. And there's a culture with food. It's not just the tongue. It's a culture. It's a feeling you get when you eat certain foods. Now, we have free will. There's nothing wrong with certain choices. Just understand you're not free from the consequences of those choices. Now, there's a lot of cynicism also on the part of the healthcare system and patients. So, for a lot of doctors, they're like, I'm not going to talk to all that because they're not going to change. They're not going to change. And that family I talked about earlier with the two kids that had bad behaviors and the mom was obese, I didn't give them the full Monty of I didn't think they were going to change. But they changed because I offered it to them. I discussed it with them. I showed them how awesome it could be. And then there's a cost concern. Now, if you think wellness is expensive, then try illness. Because, and the illness is going to have a cost, whether it be a financial cost of, medical bills or, things at the pharmacy or what have you, but there might be a cost towards vitality. There may be a cost of missed work. It may be cause of a cost of, missed vacations because you're not doing well. You may miss seeing your child graduate from high school or college because you can't get there because you're ill. There's a cost involved. Now, of course, pandemic is also a challenge. So a lot of people gain the COVID-19 or like 19 pounds of weight gain. To me, the COVID pandemic is a clarion call. It could be an opportunity, not just an opposition, as a wake-up call to change our lifestyles. COVID causes a major inflammatory response to the infection. So to people with pre-existing health conditions that already have a high level of inflammation, like high blood pressure, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, they're the ones who are having the worst outcomes. So therefore, we need to eat to reduce inflammation. Like the whole family should do that. So what foods will do that? So berries, dark green leafy vegetables, mushrooms, turmeric or curry, ginger, garlic, onions, those things will help to reduce inflammation. These will help to the actual pre-existing health conditions to begin with. It's going to reduce inflammation, and those same foods also boost our immune system so we can help fight off these issues. They want to minimize inflammatory foods like salt, refined grains, like white flour and sugar, as well as meats, including chicken. Now, that's darn near a cuss word for some people. Like, chicken, you better stay off my chicken. We're going to have a food fight here. You're going to talk about my chicken. I'm sure, Chef AJ, you probably have heard people say, I eat healthy. I don't eat beef or pork. That's a start. Chicken is thought by the public to be the healthier option between beef and pork. However, it is the meat most associated with weight gain. If you eat chicken with the skin on, you're actually usually getting more calories from fat than from protein. So you're going to chickens, I get my protein, but in reality, you're getting fat calories. Not to mention, chicken and eggs are associated with being the highest contributors of arachidonic acid, which is blocked by ibuprofen. In other words, it causes inflammation. So if you have inflammatory health conditions, which most chronic health conditions are, you may want to consider reducing chicken and egg consumption and see what happens. So there was a battle a while back. There was a battle between restaurant P and restaurant A. I don't want to label these restaurants, but they had a chicken sandwich battles many years back, or several years back. Lines were wrapped around the building for people to sample people were running out of chicken because there were so many people getting this chicken sandwich. So they were battling for our emotional heart, but what was it doing to our physical heart? So another restaurant, let's say restaurant M, has some large French fries that may have 400 milligrams of sodium. Okay, we're supposed to have anywhere from, if you have a health condition, 1,500 milligrams of sodium. If you don't, 2,300 milligrams of sodium. So this restaurant, their large fries were 400 milligrams of sodium. But these other restaurants had 3 to 4 times, their chicken sandwiches, 3 to 4 times the amount of salt that was in the fries. Like, that's just mind blowing. So one of my patients that I saw this week said, what he would often go to restaurant A. And he's like, oh, wow, I didn't recognize that my sodium was there. And this kid is a teenager who has high blood pressure, a teenager. Another restaurant, restaurant C, I had, what I often get when I go there is a bowl with black beans, brown rice, fajitas, and lettuce, and it has 550 milligrams of sodium total in that meal. But the tortilla itself has 1.5 times the amount of sodium that's in the fries I just mentioned earlier. And the burrito that child was getting had 2,000 milligrams of sodium and lots of saturated fat. And so when he saw that, he's like, man, he did the math himself. He's like, I'm getting 3 times the amount of sodium I'm supposed to get. and that's why you're hypertensive. So, eating out can be healthy, but it depends on your choices when you eat out. So my question is, who is going to stand up and fight for your family's health? Who's going to break generational health problems, like that generational curse? We cannot be passive about it. It's got to be a revolution, essentially, in the family. The health of your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, your siblings, your parents is at stake. There's a scripture that says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, and I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So when I think about what childish things are there in health, well, one of them is immediate gratification. Like kids got to have what they got to have right now. I need it right now, right now. Doesn't matter. I got to have it right now. So maybe that's one of the childish things that we might need to put away. So eating solely to satisfy the tongue is one of the things that we do often. It's like, all I care about is how does it taste? I don't care what it does to my body. I care what it tastes like. So paraphrasing Bishop T.D. Jakes, who was not talking about health when he said this, he said, if you don't put away the childish things may put you away. So it's important that oh my gosh, when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, that's a good point. So if I continue to eat, solely to satisfy my tongue, that's going to put me away. It's going to put health away. It's going to put vitality away. In conclusion, revolutionizing family health can take place, but it will take great work at the individual level and the family level. We are not helpless victims of poor health conditions that run in the family. Our lifestyles can trump our genes, but someone needs to be the trailblazer. In my family, my parents helped to break some poverty cycles, right? So, I wanted to be that one who helped break that lifestyle medicine the health problems. You may need spiritual help to do this. For me, that Daniel fast was everything. You need to create an environment that gives a better chance for success. And ideally, you start improving health at the preconception level, and then train up a child in the way that they should go. And keep in mind, it's never too late, even for seniors. So thank you for your attention, and let's revolutionize family health. Let me
wow.
Share.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I just loved it. I mean, not that I discovered you, but I mean, I love, introducing people to new people, like up and coming players in the plant-based world that I can see you're going to make such a difference. I took a few notes. I love what you say about the environment, because, you're seeing patients, they don't drive. They're not feeding themselves that food. They're not buying the food.
Yeah, especially the kids. It's when I come to my house, I mean, I think I have pretzels, maybe. That might be the only unhealthy thing that's really there at the house. I mean, if she's going to get a snack, like, Daddy, I want a snack. So she knows it's going to be an apple. It's going to be grapes. It's going to be carrots. That's what she's going to have for the snack, or she can get some smoothie. But that's there. I mean, if it was there that, I had Doritos and I had Cheetos and I had goldfish and all these different things, it's like, I want you to eat the grapes, but she's old enough now to kind of go get the stuff, and she will go get the foods that are going to be most satisfying to her tongue. But I'm going to set the environment as her parent in my household that she's going to eat foods that are going to help her to reduce risk of cancer and obesity and things of that nature.
Well, we have someone named Keisha Sumner watching.
That's my wife.
I know. I think she was talking about where to follow you, and I made sure to put those in the show notes, and I actually just asked her if she'd like to be on the show. Terry's saying such an amazing presentation, and Diane says she'd like you as her doctor, but my understanding is 21 is when you cut them off, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I do health education and coaching on the side. But yeah, in my practice at Howard University, it's just the 0 to 21. But yeah, I actually am open to doing health coaching, education, and things of that nature.
And now, could a person live anywhere to take that aspect of your practice?
Yeah, I'm not going to actually be treating you. I'm just empowering you, right? So that can happen anywhere.
Oh my God, I love, you're coming up with some of the great, you should be in the t-shirt business, because at first the chickpea, spring chickpea. Now I love that. I'm not treating you, I'm empowering you. Wow, that's really amazing, profound. But in your practice, the kids are younger. So I imagine like what we might as an adult talk to people about things like erectile dysfunction, you're not going to be talking to most of your patients, I would imagine, about that. That's not
Opposite,
going to
right? Like keep it in your pants,
I mean, even like a teenage boy, that might not even yet be an impetus to get them to change. Because I don't know, maybe they're thinking about that. I don't know, but I mean, kids are reaching sexual maturity so much sooner, and that's a problem, isn't it, Dr. Bowman? And it's a lot because of eating the dairy products.
Correct, right. So there's hormonal aspects to dairy. I mean, if you think about it, a cow is a female animal, so a cow is going to have estrogen that's going to be there that can affect the boys and the girls, right? So whether it be the beef or the chicken, that's going to affect them. And so it's going to affect them both in terms of the hormone level. It's going to affect them with acne. It's going to affect them with a lot of stuff. And so a lot of times, to me, I got to find something that's going to motivate the kid. I'm very glad that there's less fat shaming that's out there. So a lot of times I'm not talking about their weight. I'm talking about their health. I'm talking about I want to try and prevent problems in the future. And a lot of times I'm referred to people who already have problems. And so it's like, oh, wow, this person already has high cholesterol. They already have, high levels of inflammation. They already have these issues. And then for my patients, I'm talking to them about, just little things like, oh, so they have eczema. Let's talk about your diet. Let's figure out, why do they have eczema? Because my eczema got better. My seasonal allergies were better. My asthma actually got a lot better when I changed over a lot of stuff. So, those things are real and can help right now, not just, let's lose the weight, because not everybody's going to be obese anyway. And then secondly, it's not just about the weight, it's about being the optimal health. So one person I counseled recently, it was about he wants to play football in the fall. And so, all right, cool. Well, let's talk about the fact that, these particular foods, get some meats in your diet, get some arugula in your diet, get some of this and take some of this stuff out. You may actually have better recovery time because you're not inflamed in general. So you can have better recovery time if you are eating more plants than the inflammatory foods. And so those kind of things are the discussions I'm having now. But I'm also talking to the parents, because it's like, one parent is interesting. One parent, she was like, go talk to the kid and tell him how he needs to change his life. And then when I talked to them later, the second time I met with them, now mom had all of a sudden got these diagnoses of high blood pressure and diabetes. And like her A1C was fairly 6.5. So it was barely diabetic, but still diabetic. And so all of a sudden she was all ears, like, oh, Dr. Bowman, so what are you saying about it? And that would help me too. And so it's a big difference. Sometimes it's more talking to the parents, and the kids don't have any health problems, and the parent don't have any health problems. Because the parent might only be 25. Maybe the grandparent does. And it's like, are you keep in mind, the predictable and almost certain future for your health, if you make no changes, is your parent health. If your parents are, smoked until they're 100, smoked and drank and ate everything and lived to 100, and were never healthy, then and never unhealthy, then it's kind of hard to convince some people like that to make a change. But if you see, like, my parents are suffering, my dad's got to go for amputation from this, or they're on dialysis or what have you, that is your predictable and almost certain future. And so if that's okay to you and you'd rather eat what you want to eat right now, then go for it. I'm not trying to change you. I'm really not. I'm trying to inform you. I'm trying to let you know, and just to transform your mind about it, about health. Like, it's not just about just the absence of disease. How good do you want to feel? Do you want to feel better? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to get rid of the aches and pains that you have, or minimize those? I actually I did some health education at a private doctor's office. And there's a lady who was there, and unfortunately, I can't take the full credit for her because she had already made the change before I saw her. But she was in her late 60s, had arthritis, lupus, and some other autoimmune disease. She watched Dr. Brooke Goldner. She had a testimony to the USDA guideline committees on trying to change the guideline committee to minimize, to talk about the fact that if we minimize animal products and minimize dairy and eggs, that we can change stuff. And for her, when she went plant-based, she had lupus. She had lupus, and her lupus went into complete and total remission within like a couple months. And she felt better, her kidneys got better, all this stuff happened because, so that the lady that I just talked about, she saw that video and said, look, let me try it for myself. This lady had previously had to crawl to get around. And when I saw her, she's walking tall. She's no pain because she wasn't taking in the things that were causing her to have pain.
That's great. Do you see, I mean, because you're seeing younger people, like do you deal a lot with any kind of substance abuse, like drinking, smoking, or vaping, or is that more when they get older?
That is there, absolutely. Especially now that marijuana is legalized or at least decriminalized in many places. There's a big amount of that in particular. The problem there is that marijuana can adversely affect the adolescent brain, and so supposedly after 25, marijuana doesn't have the same effect, permanent effects, unless you were a heavy smoker. But for an adolescent, you can affect your potential earning future and potential prefrontal cortex is not yet fully developed, and so you actually might have slower response, worse memory over time if you do this. So I do talk to my patients about that part of lifestyle medicine as well, about avoiding risky substances.
Right. You know what I'd like to see, Dr. Bowman? A lot of times you'll see public service announcements where doctors get together and do advertisings. I'd like to see the end of the smash cake, because that is just the most ridiculous thing. I know that at some point we can't shield our children from the real world. They're going to go to parties, but why expose them to sugar at the age of 1 if they're happy eating, whole natural food?
Oh my gosh.
You could do a cake out of shaving cream. You could do it out of mashed potatoes or cauliflower. I don't think kids care so much about what's in it. I think kids just like to do this.
Yeah. There's a lot that we try to minimize our kids to be exposed to, and the online presence. So it's got to be monitored because, trust me, I made a lot of dumb decisions when I was an adolescent, and I had a good head on my shoulders in general. I mean, I was an A student. I mean, in one of my classes, the conduct grades went from 1, which is worse, to a 5. I had an A and a 2 because my conduct was so bad. Like, I mean, I was, class clown and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I did some really dumb stuff and had a good head on my shoulder. And that was way before I even, before social media was there. I can't imagine, when you have access to social media and, oh, that was fun. Oh, that was funny. Ha, 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 ha. And saying, just let me do that too. It is, it's terrible. I feel for these kids. I can't imagine growing up in this day and age.
I worry so much because one of my biggest areas of passion is food addiction and sugar addiction. And you're going to get exposed. So why start them so young? And also the lack of vegetables. It's not even so, most kids eat fruit and like fruit, but parents, I find, at least when I interview other experts, they don't encourage enough vegetables at a young age. And that sets the tone for whether or not you're going to eat them as an adult.
Right. So I think it's important. So if you start it from the jump, so when your kids are 6 months old, they start eating, maybe pure parade foods. Start them then with those vegetables and keep that going. If they don't know anything but that, then their taste buds are great to it. And if they don't like eating vegetables, there are other ways to get those in. So I love smoothies. So for my daughter, I hope she's not watching. No, I'm kidding. When for my daughter, I have the smoothie container, the thermos I use, you can't see through it. So she's just drinking. She didn't know what's in it. She's just drinking. So in the smoothie I give her, it'll be fruit. It'll be banana and mixed fruit. But also I put in either kale or spinach, in addition to turmeric with black pepper, ground flaxseed, and some vegan protein powder. So I put that in there, and she has no idea what's in it. So that's one way to get the vegetables in. Another thing that I do is for spaghetti, for instance, I kind of did a whole remix of spaghetti. So now I'm doing whole wheat spaghetti instead of the white spaghetti noodles. The sauce is pretty much the same. I might do an organic sauce as opposed to regular, but it's pretty much the sauce is the same. But what I also will do differently is the protein, the meats is I do red lentils. I cook red lentils separately, and I'll put that in the sauce. And then I also chop up spinach really finely and put that in the sauce. And so my child is getting some vegetables, plus, she's getting peppers and onions as well. She's getting that in the sauce. So she doesn't even know that she's eating vegetables when she's eating vegetables.
I love that. I call that the stealth approach.
Stealth approach. I like it. Okay. I have to keep that name in mind.
So where would you like us to go? Meaning to how can we support your work, follow you, especially for under 21, we're probably not going to see you in person, but like you said, you can work with us online as a coach. I've been posting your social media handles.
Yes. So I am at Lifestyle Med Revolution on Instagram and Facebook. And for those who, I mentioned the Daniel fast a couple of times today. For those who are interested in doing a Daniel fast, I'm sponsoring one. And last time I did one was in the spring, and people who did that, a lot of them were like, man, one, they read labels differently than never read labels before. And they're like, oh my God, added sugar is everywhere. It's hard to find things that don't have added sugar in them. A lot of things have preservatives that they didn't know, or just never paid attention to the ingredient list. And so they're reading these ingredients like, oh my, I never paid attention to this. The group-based nature of this. So we had like group talks and so what have you. So that support was there for them. Because to me, it is hard to do it by yourself. If you can find, a group of people who are willing to make some of these changes with you, it makes things so much easier than it is trying to do it by yourself. And then you got the spiritual help, because to me, like one thing I did, I had a Daniel fast in the past where my sugar addiction was horrible. So I'd have, for one coffee mug, I'd have maybe 4 to 5 teaspoons of sugar in one coffee mug. And because I grew up eating, drinking strawberry milk and soda and all these different things, sugary cereals. So I 4 to 5 teaspoons of sugar in every coffee mug. And I saw people who were doing unsweetened tea. I'm like, I could never, ever do unsweetened tea. Now, again, keep in mind what I said about the tongue earlier, that the tongue has the power for life and death. So I was saying I can't do it. But then I was like, so I decided, let me do a Daniel fast. Let me pray about this. Let me see if I can find a way to do this. And I got this epiphany that when I'm doing this, let me compare, instead of comparing this unsweetened tea to extra sweet tea, and then being sad that I don't have that sweetness, let me instead compare this mango, papaya flavored herbal drink to water. And which one do I want? Oh, I want the mango papaya flavored herbal concoction. So instantaneously, I was able to drink unsweetened tea when I thought it was going to take me years or months to keep cutting down my sugar level. I had to be transformed in my mind about the way I saw this stuff.
Wow. Well, your brother-in-law is watching, Eric.
Okay. Awesome.
I know, that's so cool. Is he plant-based too? Is he plant-based?
I don't believe so. Well, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that.
He needs to watch this presentation, and we need to get
work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. When are you doing the Daniel Fast?
I'm starting on Monday.
Wow.
It's going to go for 3 weeks. So I try to figure out, when can I do this? So the fast is starting on Monday, because I didn't want to start it on Mother's Day weekend, because people want to go out to eat or do whatever they do for Mother's Day. And it's going to end on the 30th, the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So that, if you want to go for a cookout on the 31st, you can do your own cookout. When for my friends locally, when I do something like this, I'll grill some veggies. I'll grill black bean burger. I will grill. So I'm still grilling. I'm just grilling different things than I used to in the past. I'm not grilling, bratwurst and hot dogs and stuff like that. So I try to time it so that people could still enjoy a holiday of Memorial Day weekend, but not affect their Mother's Day.
Wow. It's just so interesting that that's how people think it's the only way to enjoy holidays is with food that is not healthy. Because I enjoy
Yeah,
my life so much more now eating healthy food. You know, the treat is, I used to be obese. And so the treat, people say, don't you ever have a treat? I haven't had a birthday cake in 11 years. The treat is health. The treat is being able to fit into smaller, cute clothes, not going to some overpriced restaurant where I'm going to have a meal that's going to make me fat, sick, and nearly dead.
that's a very good point. I think, that requires being transformed in your mind. I think that some people are not there yet. I know I'm still grilling, right? But I'm just grilling different food. So I'm trying to see how can I adapt this lifestyle change to my certain circumstance. So for birthday, my wife made me a plant-based cake. I mean, actually, surprisingly, it was better than the cake that we had for our wedding. So even though that cake was, professional, it was better. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't recognize that a vegan cake could be this good. So yeah, I'm still doing cake. It's just gonna be a vegan cake. Now there was definitely sugar in it, definitely sugar. It wasn't any animal products. And so based on watching you recently, I'm trying to now perfect a waffle. I was doing waffles with oil, but I know you're big on these salt, oil, and sugar-free things. And so I used date syrup. So I just blended up some dates and put some date syrup in there, and I did the oil-free. So I think I did. I think I just took it out. I don't think there's anything I added necessarily to do it. I did egg-free and not even the plant. The just egg is one that I like a lot, but I didn't use that one. It's just egg-free, and it came out good. Now, yeah, I'm trying to make it fantastic, so I might need more date syrup. But I was like, wow, I recognize I can do this without oil. So you're definitely teaching me as well.
Well, thank you. And actually, you can make like amazing. I was a pastry chef for 5 years at a restaurant, and all my desserts were date sweetened. So it's really possible.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the date syrup was clutch for us on the last Daniel fast. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, that date syrup was everything." I put that in
And I
my
have a
oatmeal.
code. I know I have. I think it's either a 10 or a 15% off code with I Love Date Lady. I've got to find that for you. I do so many codes that I can't
Oh
always remember.
wow.
But always Chef AJ. So if people want to join you in the Daniel Fast on Monday, where do they go?
They go on the Lifestyle Med Revolution on Lifestyle Med Revolution in Facebook or on Instagram, and can send me a direct message. And I'm looking forward to whoever's willing to join. It's the Daniel fast changed my life. It really, really did, and because I never thought to add spirituality to my health. I never. Now spirituality was in this morality box, but in order to overcome some stuff, you know. So one thing that I got, the prayer and the discipline that I got, one thing that when the first time I did a fast, I said, Lord, it was too hard for me to make this change. It was like, oh my God, this is so hard. I'm tired of 5 days in a row of black beans, brown rice, mixed vegetables. I hate this. I can't do this anymore. And I was reminded, is this a spiritual fast or a lifestyle change? Okay, it's a spiritual fast. Let me make this change. And I prayed about it. And I said, wait a minute, Lord, forgive me for being ungrateful. Because I had people who were, I just do global health work. I worked in a number of countries in Africa and I worked in Haiti. And I saw people who literally died of malnutrition, died. And here I am getting food every day, getting 3 meals. It's just boring food. It's just boring, healthy food. I'm just tired of this. And I said, Lord, forgive me for being ungrateful. And so it really helped me to, and literally when I say that there's a scripture in the Bible that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So if I say that, and then I say, oh my gosh, I can't go without candy, then either the Bible's lying or I'm lying. so it's like, I got to make sure that I'm trying to do what I can and use spiritual strength to make this lifestyle change. Because really, if it's deeply embedded in you, it's really hard to break those chains. And I think the Daniel fast to me is a great way to go. You see, you live a 3 weeks of a whole food plant-based diet and see how it does for you. You see how if it makes any differences. A lot of people said they had better reflex got better. The stools were everybody said the stools are way easier. Many people lost weight. So many other benefits blood pressure got better. So all this stuff had happened. So I think this is a great opportunity.
So I just went to your Facebook page because I'm going to share that link, and I just saw your wife, and boy, is she gorgeous. I don't know which one is her, but either one is
Yes, she's a twin.
winner. I was going
She's
to
a
say,
nickel
either
twin.
one you got, they're both, it's stunning, really stunning. So I'm going to share that link. Well, boy, this is just perfect timing that you're starting this on Monday. So the people that are watching live or that will watch this over the weekend, there's still time to join.
Yeah, I try to do one every season. So I did one in the spring already. I'll do, I'm sorry, I guess that was technically winter. It was February. And this is my spring one. And actually it's a way to kind of jumpstart, into the summertime. So, get your body right, get your body tight. This time I'm actually adding exercise to it. And I'm going to have, I talked to another college friend of mine who also, so my wife, Keisha, she had done chemical engineering at Howard, just like I had done chemical engineering at Howard. And another person who done chemical engineering at Howard, she actually is also a physician doing culinary medicine. Her Marissa Harris is her maiden name. I think I don't know her maiden name or married name, but she does culinary medicine, and she's going to do a cooking demonstration as well. So the cooking foods that may be compatible with lifestyle, the Daniel fast, and so adding some new twists to this. The people who did the Daniel fast in the past, let's do something different this time. Let's run it back.
Yeah, but I love it. You said, the only reason people think the food that we eat is boring is because they're stuck in the pleasure trap. If they had eaten this food like they do in other parts of the world, then it would be delicious. But when you're addicted to sugar, fat, and salt, it's really, like whole natural food is hard to compete.
Yeah, it is so hard. Those things are just, if you think about it, do I really think that this fast food company or this snack food company is really out for my health? No, they're out for the health of their shareholders. So how do we do that? It's like, I got to draw them in. I got to keep them coming, and and I got to make the cost lower. So I got to make it, with more and more processed foods so that people keep buying it.
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about, which I know is one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine, is exercise. And when you're a pediatrician, when I was little, we didn't exercise because we went outside to play. But now this is how kids play. The only thing they exercise are their thumbs. So how do you get that into your practice? Because
I literally had a patient yesterday, or this week, I think it was maybe yesterday. He's like, yeah, my hands, like, I don't have the same mobility in my hands. I'm like, that's because you've been doing this all day. Like, that's his exercise. And so it is a struggle, especially during the pandemic. It's a struggle because people are scared to let the kids go to the playground or what have you. But really, it's dancing. It's dancing in the house. You can, get some videos and do some dancing in the house. We did how do you call it thing? We turned on all the lights and we had glow stick. We did a glow stick party at our house. We had a dance party with glow sticks, and we just had like a little hat and stuff. And we did all kinds of fun stuff to just find ways to just be physically active, or going for a walk, or throwing a frisbee, or I love sports. For me, like you said, I would go outside, I would play until I was hungry. I'd come back home for lunch, I'd eat, I'd go back out again until the street lights came on. And that's a life I lived. But that's not the life that people live nowadays. And so it becomes more of an issue. Now, in terms of weight, though, the bigger issue, of course, is the diet. But in terms of like the way you feel, exercise is a big antidepressant. It's an anti-anxiety medication or intervention. It is, and you just feel like when I am exercising consistently, I walk around like, I feel good. Why do I feel so happy? Like, my circumstances aren't necessarily that great. Why am I so happy? It's because I'm exercising.
Nice. Well, you got a great Facebook page. You have a 61-year-old vegan taking the fitness world by storm. You're going to have to introduce me to
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It's just been such a pleasure and a joy getting to know you and the work you do. And I'm very appreciative. And I can't wait to have your wife on the show. And maybe Eric will come on the show too. Who knows?
Right. I'd like to get him converted, if he's not already doing it. But yeah. So I'd love to have that. Great. Thanks so much for having me. I really am honored to be here, and I'm glad to be able to have, potentially to pour into somebody what they might need today, whatever today is, if today is live or today is whenever they watch it, to have them, really benefit their health and to really transform and revolutionize their family and their family destiny, changing their family history to their family destiny. So thank you for having me on.
I love that. Your dinner is not your destiny.
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
maybe it is your destiny. Your DNA is not your destiny.
Right. Your DNA doesn't have to be your destiny. Your dinner, absolutely. If your dinner plays much more of a role than your DNA in your family life expectancy. And I mean, yeah, I get it that you are susceptible to these diseases because you have that family history, but it does not at all mean that you have to get it. You just got to stop doing what your parents did to get it.
Absolutely. Well, I can see your passion. Thank you so much, Dr. Bowman. It's been a pleasure.
All right. All right. Thanks, Karen.
Sure thing. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when we're having a wonderful cooking demo from Colorado with a longtime vegan chef, very talented, named Chef Ron Pekarsky. And don't forget, join the Daniel Fast. It starts on Monday, right after your Mother's Day binge on Sunday. Thanks, Dr. Bowman.